about time you fell in love with something that will love you back. And that, my friends, is pop music. It doesn't judge you, and I won't either.
Ever been punched in your motherfucking face? What you say? Oh, you haven't? Alright, wait. I'm a submit. I am a mess. I cannot fix it. Rubbing my dick. Margin sweat. Look at my dick print. Fuck all the rats. If you confess, that is a dick hit. Fuck all the rats. If you confess, he get a dress. Bitch,
Part 1, before the beginning of the story. Okay, so now, who is Kim Dokja? Well, he is the protagonist of the web novel, Webtoon, ebook, and possible 5-part movie written by Sing Song called ORV, or Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint. Kim Dokja is a 28-year-old Microsoft employee who's been reading a very long and boring web novel for over a decade. This web novel, 3 Ways to Survive a Ruined World, that Kim Dokja loved, soon reached its conclusion. But before he could read its last pages, that story became reality. So what? He's just some tired corporate slave whose only joy is reading a long, boring story that he can't stop yapping about. What makes him so special that I would need damn near 50 parts just to finish talking about him? Well, if you're basing your assumptions about Kim Dokja on just that very brief summary, then you're not doing the man justice. So I want to put you in Kim Dokja's shoes for just a moment. Let's put on our thinking caps and imagine a world that's most definitely not yours. That you're broke. You're a broke 28-year-old with no sense to your damn name, and you're about to get fired from your job that you don't even do. Your family doesn't jack you, you got no friends, no hoes, you're skinny and pale all the time, malnourished body looking, and you're suicidal. You're about to get fired so you don't even try to maintain your job, even while you're broke. The only solace you have is web novels. You read them to escape your effed up life and imagine yourself as someone else, as something new. Not the lonely, broke 28-year-old, but as a strong, never-wielding, handsome isekai protagonist who gets all the hoes and never loses a single battle. You read and read all to ignore the reality that you live in. You hide in your fantasies of fiction rather than tackle the harshness of reality. So after a long day of working a job you don't even mess with and that you quite brilliantly know doesn't even mess with you, you hop on the dusty, dirty, packed train on your way home to your single apartment. Your coworker sits next to you. She's one of the good ones. She started basically at the same time as you, but somehow surpassed you in every which way. Now she's on the path towards promotion, but she doesn't even let that get to her head. She still treats you with kindness even though you believe you don't deserve it. You ignore her existence because, finally, after a long, hard day of work, you want to escape to the one thing that brings you joy, web novels. But not just any web novel, but the one that's been with you since the jump, day one. It's been with you when you were bullied, it's been with you when your family started showing that they didn't jack you, it's been with you when you had to endure those long shifts, and it's been with you when you experienced the lowest moments of your lonely life. This web novel gave you the will to live, and without it, you would have left this world a long time ago. This novel that you loved for 10 years is sadly coming to an end. With over 3,000 chapters, you're about to say goodbye. Goodbye to the characters who helped you through your harsh reality. Goodbye to the world that made you rest from your painful life. And goodbye to the story that helped you live and made you who you are today. Of course, you reluctantly accept this fact and start to open up the final chapter. You read to the final pages, and just as you're about to reach the end, the epilogue of this long 3,000 plus chapter journey, the world shifts. The train shakes. The world that you called hell and the world that you escaped to start to mix. And you feel your very existence and the rules of this world being rewritten. Then out of nowhere, the first scenes of the story that gave you life start playing in your head. Not only playing, but also tearing itself into the real world that you grew to hate before you could hate yourself. The first chapter becomes your first day in a new world. The world of that story. And your first chance at living a new life in a new fictional reality. If you understood all that, then you understand the first chapter of Kim Dokja. Do you now start to see that there's a lot more to the pages of this story, of this boring, no-life corporate slave, than you can imagine? So let's dive into those pages and see what makes this kid so incredibly interesting.
The story changed every time I read. The story was over, but it wasn't over. The story wouldn't end unless the reader gave up on the story. Kim Dokja chapter 170, episode 33, reading again, 1-1.
Prologue plus episode 1, starting the paid service. Okay, y'all do remember the start of ORV with the subway incident in scenario 1, right? That was the first scene we saw of Kim Dokja, and that scenario is instrumental towards Kim Dokja's future growth and development. It's basically like a benchmark to make us understand where Kim Dokja is in his character journey and who Kim Dokja is. Before the scenario, Kim Dokja is introduced to us with his name and a little preamble about how his name negatively impacted his life. He then explains the different meanings of his name and how his father chose it for him, intending to make him into a strong man who doesn't need to rely on others, but only himself. This is also a little seed sown into the narrative that I want y'all to remember. Let me pause and ask you all a question. Tell me one major accomplishment that Kim Dokja has done only and completely by himself with his own strength. If you're struggling to recount one, this demonstrates the deep meaning behind Kim Dokja's name and life. Instead of fulfilling the role, per se, that his father pushed onto him, he lived a life that relied upon others, a life that succeeded only with everyone's help. Kim Dokja's story wasn't built by a one-man army, but instead by a strong company. Through his story, his life, he rejected the notion of loneliness imposed by his father, but instead relished the other meaning of his name given by his mother. Dokja can mean only child, reader, individualist, or distinctiveness in Korean. His name, Dokja, can be written with two different hanja. Okay, I'm not Korean, so please be patient with me. Giving different meanings to it. Either Dok as in reader, favored by his mother, or Dok as in alone, favored by his father. Kim Dokja was a reader, is a reader, and will always be a reader. The story of ORB doesn't even start with Kim Dokja, but with a line from 3 Ways to Survive a Ruined World, the sole book that he has read over and over and over again that gave him life for 10 years straight. It starts with a book and ends, well, that's a spoiler for now, so let's get back on track. Before we head deep into the first scenario, I want to bring your attention to the conversation between Kim Dokja and Yoo Sung-ha on the train in the first chapter after the prologue. Throughout the convo, Kim Dokja was never insistent on keeping the dialogue between them going. However, Yoo Sung-ha kept the conversation moving forward, asking different questions or displaying different skills to make the convo more engaging. Meanwhile, Kim Dokja just wanted to read his web novels in peace. Kim Dokja and Yoo Sung-ha's conversation gives us a lot of characterization towards both of these characters, but for Kim Dokja, it gives us a brief look into how he saw himself before the scenario started. There are a few scenes sewed into the dialogue that point towards something deeper going on, besides Kim Dokja just not wanting to talk to the girl within his thoughts and responses. Even when the conversation was just beginning, he remarked about how weird it was that Yoo Sung-ha was even there on the train in the first place, noting that there were rumors that she had a legion of men awaiting her call to drive her home. He also taught things like, Yoo Sung-ha smiled brightly. Seeing her this close, I could kind of understand why men found her attractive, but ultimately, it didn't matter to me. The genre of every person's life was already determined. And Yoo Sung-ha was someone who lived in a genre different from mine. ORV Chapter 1. Or said things like, that's right, that happened. My congratulations are late. Sorry about that. Ha ha ha. Maybe I should have worked hard to study a foreign language too. When talking about Yoo Sung-ha's promotion. In every circumstance where Kim Dokja talks with Yoo Sung-ha, you see a sense of self-deprecation, belittlement, and most of all, disengagement/detachment. I want to draw your attention to how he describes and views Yoo Sung-ha. He starts off judging her as this pretty, kind lady who's just reaping the benefits of life, but has shown time and time again that that's simply not the full story. He's shocked to see her ride the train, and even more shocked to learn that she always commutes via bicycle to and from work. His view of her continues to change when she says she likes books and has a hobby of reading. He judges her, thinking that she wouldn't understand his hobbies or the authors that he loves because he continues to believe that they are different, that they are in different worlds, different galaxies, different genres. A rom-com can't understand the suspense of a mystery novel, nor can a mystery novel understand the beauty of bittersweet comedic love of a rom-com. He continues to believe that they can't and will never get to understand each other, building a wall between the two of them even though they share so many commonalities. After Yoo Sung-ha's promotion is brought up, the conversation goes down the drain, breaking off from a dialogue between Yoo Sung-ha and Kim Dokja with a sprinkle of Kim Dokja's thoughts into despondent Kim Dokja's detached descent into his own world of judgment. He judges his hobbies and his life choices, deeming them inferior compared to the greatness that is Yoo Sung-ha, a successful woman who has friends, who is beautiful, and who works hard. You could say that he views her as a light and him as the darkness, never being able to interact even though they both exist at the same time. Darkness can't be in light just as light can't be in darkness. How can things that can't exist within each other ever come to understand each other? Kim Dokja said, I didn't want to admit it, but the sight of Yoo Sung-ha speaking, it was pretty cool. Her face seemed to glow with a brilliant light as though the world's spotlight was shining down on only one person. If this world were a novel, the protagonist would likely be someone like her. In fact, It was an inevitable outcome. While I hadn't worked hard, Yusaga Ha had. While I read web novels on the internet, Yusaga Ha studied diligently. So it was inevitable that Yusaga Ha would become a full-time employee and that my contract would be terminated. ORV Chapter 1. By using terms like genre and protagonist, breaking his life and utters down into story elements instead of reality and life choices, Kim Dokja detaches himself from the real world and views the world and others as if he's a reader looking in, envying the main characters. While looking at Lee Go-young, Kim Dokja pondered if the genre of his life changed from realism to fantasy, could he jump from being the reader looking into the story to protagonist being looked at from within the story? This judgment and detachment finally dwindles down into one single statement of reluctant acceptance. It's because a Dokja has a Dokja life, you see. ORV Chapter 1. In response to all of Yusaga Ha's brilliance, Kim Dokja stubbornly rejects all their commonalities and focuses solely on their differences, saying that no matter what he does or tries to do, he will never be like her, he will never be the protagonist, the center of the story, the focus of the world. Even in his own life, his own story, he will always be just a reader. This is a key major part of Kim Dokja's character development and progression, especially not only within part 1, but throughout the entirety of ORV. He struggles between his ideal, who he believes himself to be, and who he is, fighting between being a protagonist, being a reader, and being Kim Dokja. Great stuff, all planted so subtly within a single conversation in the first chapter of the series. Let me stop glazing and get back on track. Moving on, finally, to the first scenario. In that scenario, Kim Dokja is the only one to know exactly what's going on from the start. He's not stressing out trying to figure out what the hell that blob thingy is saying or how serious the situation is, nor is he falsely depending on external forces to come in to save the day, like the army or government. Kim Dokja knows that he's on his own and everyone else will soon figure that out as well. If they want to survive, they must take the first step in the direction of the morally gray. However, even though he knows all this, he's still anxious. Why? Because of a few reasons that gives us a slight insight into how this man thinks. As everyone is consumed by the chaos of the situation, Kim Dokja is trying to figure out how to deal with this first scenario. He's looking around, trying to glean as much information as possible and figure out what regression turn he's in, who's inside the cart with him, and what information he's read from ways of survival that can be utilized in his current situation. You might be thinking, why would he be so stressed and thinking so hard? It's only the first scenario, not like the ones in the later stages of ORV. But you gotta remember the conditions of the first main scenario in Kim Dokja's level at that time. Main scenario 1, proof of value, category main, difficulty F, clear condition, kill 1 or more creatures, time limit 30 minutes, compensation 300 coins, failure, death. At this moment, Kim Dokja, 1, doesn't know his abilities yet, so he's struggling to open his attribute window to even assess the situation and try to do something. 2, he's trying to see if he has to kill someone or not, trying his hardest to remember any loopholes presented in the ways of survival so he doesn't have to get any blood on his hands and survive through the first scenario. Remember, at the very beginning, he didn't realize he could reread ways of survival on his phone, so he's trying his best to remember everything and anything that he could do to survive. And finally, 3, he's trying to grasp where he is in the story of ways survival and even accept that this world has now become the story he spent a decade of his life reading. He's not stressing out like the others in the cart thinking what is actually happening, but rather, is this actually happening? Is the story that he's read in fiction truly becoming real in reality? So while he's racking his brain, the first to come to terms with the new laws of the new world, Kim Da-moon pops up and declares his action of jumping an old lady. Everyone who's still struggling to grasp the situation looks at this kid like he's crazy, but with the video played by B. Young regarding the Date Pong Girls high school incident where everyone but Lee Ji-hai dies, everyone gets on board and attempts to kill the old lady to save their skin. Kim Dokja sees this and does nothing, opting to ignore it and focus on his planning while also giving us an insight into Kim Da-moon's character from Ways of Survival and how much of a Shubinyo Da-moon was. In the ensuing chaos, Dokja figures out a portion of his abilities gained from Anaylsis and Rita's viewpoint, rereading part 1 of Ways of Survival in like 30 seconds and formulating a quick plan. He wasn't ignoring the situation in fear, but rather in patience, waiting for the opportune time to strike. Once the cart 3007 behind him exploded, he lunged at Kim Da-moon and rushed towards the insect net carried by Lee Go-young. Kim Dokja finds the crickets with Lee Go-young and his plan automatically comes into motion. He grabs one, gives one to Lee Go-young, and then shucks it towards Yusaga Ha, rushing towards Kim Da-moon in an effort to fight him. Then the rest is history. We all know how this story ends. Kim Da-moon was killed for the sins of the previous regressions that Kim Dokja read and the sin he committed by trying to kill a defenseless old lady. Kim Dokja's hammer of justice saves the day, and 5 people, Kim Dokja, Lee Go-young, Yusaga Ha, Lee Hung-sung and Han Woo-young survived the first scenario in cart 3807. Now, the reason this first scenario holds so much significance is because it tells us everything we need to know about Kim Dokja in just a matter of 6 chapters. Let's rewind and look carefully at each and every action that Kim Dokja took so that y'all can see what I'm yapping about. At the beginning of the scenario, Kim Dokja was shocked like everyone else, but for different reasons. He just couldn't believe that a story that he's read for over a decade was coming into the real world. Every action a person took and every word that they spoke was written word for word, bar for bar in Ways of Survival, and Kim Dokja was remembering all of it. This shock also helps us glean 2 things about Kim Dokja. 1, he's extremely excited for the end of the world he knew, becoming expectant towards the future of the new world that he is in now. And 2, he's also afraid of this new world. Kim Dokja read Ways of Survival so much that he knows that thing like the back of his damn hand. He probably knows it better than the back of his hand, to be honest. But it's because he knows what type of story and world Ways of Survival was set in that he fears for the coming of that story into reality. That story wasn't your typical isekai fantasy where it was all sunshine and kisses and only one big war with the Demon King at the end. No, Ways of Survival was a tragedy, true and true. That world was not made for the weak of heart, but for people who threw away their hearts a long time ago. He feared the chaos that this story would bring into the world and the eventual destruction of his world, home, and Earth if he did nothing. Moving forward, we see Kim Dokja watch as Kim Nam-woon goes to beat up an old woman. Now, it was very funny watching Kim Nam-woon just start tweaking out trying to kill this old lady, but Kim Dokja didn't view it that way. He saw it as an expectation, as humanity doing what humanity knows best, selfishly killing one another for their own gain. Kim Nam-woon, in this instance, was not only evil in Kim Dokja's book, but also a reflection of who Kim Dokja was as well. Look, Kim Nam-woon and Kim Dokja do the same things, just in different ways. They both grab the attention of the train cart inhabitants and give a speech on how to finish the first scenario, both choosing to kill a life to save themselves and rallying the people to do the same, and both cause chaos to run rampant throughout the train cart while they do their own thing. Think about it. Kim Dokja could have gone about it in such a different way that possibly everyone could have been saved in that cart, but he deliberately chose not to and went about it in a way that caused the deaths of everyone, but a few he selectively chose. Also, by fighting Kim Nam-woon, we see that Kim Dokja has a sense of justice that drives him to try to save the old lady from Kim Nam-woon's clutches. But we see even more that Kim Dokja's drive to see the story go in a certain direction pushes him even more than his petty sense of justice. Let's take a break and take stock of where Kim Dokja is right now in his journey. Currently, it's the first scenario. Only a few minutes have passed since it started, and he's still getting his bearings. All those big ideals and big dreams are out the window. The only thing of importance right now is survival, survival, and survival. Kim Dokja isn't doing something to make a good story or obtain a great fable. He is simply trying to save himself from death. This might be the first instance in a long time where we see Kim Dokja actively save himself instead of sacrificing himself to save others. His big plan and end goal of making the ending he desires isn't on his mind right now. So, with this understanding, why would he go and try to stop Kim Nam-woon from finishing the first scenario? Well, he simply didn't like Kim Nam-woon and thought he would be a hindrance to his future survival. But most importantly, he didn't want Kim Nam-woon in his story. While Kim Dokja might not have had those large ideals and gigantic plans that we see in the later scenarios, we do start to see signs of this enormous plan beginning to formulate. We also see how important the story of 3 Ways to Survive a Ruined World is to Dokja and how that story could even push him to sacrifice his survival. At that moment, Kim Dokja had already passed the first scenario, but he willingly threw away his chances of guaranteed survival to tangle with Kim Nam-woon, all because of what he read in Ways of Survival and his desire to see a better story/future for himself. Also, within this little tussle, we see Kim Dokja showcase his first instance of character lists. I recall the Kim Nam-woon that I knew from Ways of Survival. At this moment, I heard a message in my ears. Exclusive skill, character list is activated. Chapter 6. By remembering the story, he's able to obtain hidden, valuable information on characters using Ways of Survival as his basis. Character list gives him a little bio about the character and then lists their skills and sponsor, advising him on anything important that he needs to know when dealing with that particular character. Without even talking with the character, he's able to learn all that just by remembering their placement within the story. Remember, this is all based on Kim Dokja's understanding of the character and what he has read from Ways of Survival. I say this because this skill will soon play a key role in Kim Dokja's character progression in the later parts of ORV. Kim Dokja's initial judgments are printed everywhere in his viewing of Kim Nam-woon's character list, even stating his overall evaluation that Kim Nam-woon is a Shubinio who was blackened by a special occasion. It is recommended that you don't get involved with him. Chapter 6. Why not interact with him? Yes, he's tweaking, but isn't everyone else crashing out as well? Doesn't Yoo Jung-huk commit more heinous acts compared to that little child's play behavior with Kim Nam-woon? Why does Kim Dokja partner up with Yoo Jung-huk but is averse to Kim Nam-woon? This is what I'm talking about. Kim Dokja's initial stubborn judgments are dictating his actions and even impacting his own skills as well. Also, remember that in this chapter, we see the first instance of omniscient reader's viewpoint being utilized. It activates when Kim Dokja opens up the text file sent to him by TLS 123 and starts reading 3 Ways to Survive a Ruined World again. The initial stage of omniscient reader's viewpoint increases his reading speed, comprehension, and remembrance of ways of survival. These memories being conveyed to the reader through random quotes from WOS sprinkled throughout the first episode. This stage also gives him simple impressions of a character's thoughts and feelings towards him while he's in conversation with them. As his understanding of characters increase, the more information he's able to glean from them, and his abilities also increase. This is displayed when he reaches omniscient reader's viewpoint level 1, being able to read the character's intention and preemptive actions. He activates this while fighting Kim Nam-woon, understanding Kim Nam-woon more throughout their conversation, thus being able to read where he will aim his knife next. With short sentences bursting into his vision saying things like left eye, right leg, or heart. You can say that with this skill, Kim Dokja could become a god, reading and understanding everyone's thoughts, emotions, and actions before they even think, feel, or do anything, becoming truly omniscient, seeing everything. Continuing forward, I want to focus on how Kim Dokja inadvertently causes the deaths of everyone in the train cart simply due to his own preemptive judgments. When looking at Lee Gil-young, he saw bruises on his body. At that moment, he automatically judged Lee Gil-young's aunt and wrote her life off of his story. When everyone was kicking the grandmother, he wrote off their lives as well, by causing a scene and giving them false hope by throwing the insects towards the other side of the cart. And finally, the big one, he wrote off Kim Nam-woon by judging him solely on his previous actions of inciting the people to kill the old lady and the actions that he read in Ways of Survival. Now, he wasn't wrong in any of his initial judgments. Kim Nam-woon and the crowd were wicked for trying to kill an old lady, and Lee Gil-young's aunt was evil for abusing him, but Kim Dokja didn't allow himself to think further. To ponder if evil people could do good things and change. Why did Kim Nam-woon do what he did? Why was he the first to accept the destruction of the world? Why did the aunt try to kill the old lady? Was she possibly trying to save both Lee Gil-young and herself from the death shown in the Datepong girls' high school incident? I'm not going to go too in-depth in this conversation because it's not a Kim Nam-woon or Lee Gil-young's aunt video, but I want you guys to focus on the implications of Kim Dokja's actions in that one moment. He cut off the chances of growth and progression for everyone except the ones he chose within that cart. You might say, well, he didn't choose everybody that survived, and well, yes, while you might be right, he did, however, choose 3. Himself, Lee Gil-young, and by deliberately chucking it her way, Yoo Sung-ha as well. We also see in the characterization of B-young that he's described as this otherworldly, demonic, inhumane creature of chaos, an organism that lasts the culling of life and relishes in the plights of humanity. Kim Dokja's perspective fills us in with his underlying hatred towards the Dokkaebi and Starstream. While Kim Dokja doesn't kill B-young, he does judge the Dokkaebis as well and holds on to that initial perspective for a good chunk of the story. That perspective on characters, judging them as evil and good is good, all comes from his reading of 3 Ways to Survive a Ruined World. Also, look at this moment right here when B-young commits this act of massacre at the end of the time limit for the first scenario. Beginning with Kim Nam-woon, people's heads started exploding everywhere. 1, 2, 3, 4. The bursting heads were like fireworks announcing a new era. I watched the scene with a bit of joy, a bit of guilt, and a mysterious feeling. Why? Why was I so calm at the sight in front of me? It was like I was looking at a novel. Chapter 6. This right here is just Kim Dokja geeking out, bro. Like, he really is tripping here. Even I can't justify this. But the narrative significance of this moment is clear. Kim Dokja isn't seeing the value of lives that he has just taken. His human emotions of empathy, sympathy, and regret are all blocked, hidden behind some wall, presenting them like letters on a page from a story that he's reading, not a reality that he's experiencing. The dissonance from reality, from himself, from his emotions and life choices removes him from the scene and places him in the role of a reader reading the story about a few deaths of insignificant minor background characters. This is actually pretty interesting to me because while I was reviewing his character, I literally skipped over this part right here. It was like I was just reading the weather on the news and just going about my day. I skimmed past their deaths and forgot about Kim Doja's abnormal reaction towards their ending that he created. I just want y'all to note something here. Something is blocking Kim Doja's emotions, and Kim Doja isn't against having his emotions blocked because he doesn't need human emotions for minor deaths when he's reading a story. Look at yourself, for example. If you ever watched a Death Game anime or read a series that has moments where a lot of background characters with no characterization die, do you care when they die? Do you remember every single character's name and life before their death? No, I don't, especially with background characters I don't even know. But why don't we care? We don't care because they aren't real deaths. It's just some characters on a page that didn't even actively influence the story, being erased from the narrative. We don't know any of the names of the people he's killed, only one, and that's solely because he was a character that Kim Doja read in Ways of Survival. I also want to draw your attention to an achievement Kim Doja receives after finishing the first scenario by killing 124 grasshoppers. The Mass Murderer achievement has been gained through excessive killing, Chapter 6. Kim Doja received this achievement, and honestly, this also went over my head when I was reading the scene, but within the context of the previous explanations and analysis, I think we could all see the significance of this quote-unquote achievement to Kim Doja's character. Remember how Kim Na-moon compared human beings to insects, right? Now replace the grasshoppers with human beings and you get a whole different picture. Kim Doja killed defenseless organisms in both grasshoppers and human beings. You can say that the adult grasshopper who struggled a bit in Kim Doja's hands was a representation of Kim Na-moon, and the 123 baby grasshoppers who weren't born yet were the rest of the 12 passengers. I also find that number interesting, 1, 2, 3. Remember, what Kim Doja said about how many grasshoppers were left in the container when he chucked it over to the other side when he was talking to Kim Na-moon before fighting. I responded cautiously to Kim Na-moon, who was stretching his neck. There are 12 people remaining. Huh? There are 3 insects left in the collecting net. Chapter 6. 12 people remain, and only 3 adult grasshoppers remain. Combine 12 with 3 by just adding it to the end, and you get 1, 2, 3. If you add the number of Kim Na-moon who's fighting Kim Doja, then you get 124. You have killed 124 living things. Kill history, 1 grasshopper, 123 grasshopper eggs. You have killed non-resistant living things, so the number of coins you have acquired is reduced by half. Chapter 6. This right here is just amazing to me. Let me glaze Sing-chan for just a moment here, guys, please. If they did this on purpose, then I generally have to give them the props. Their flowers, their stars, their praise, bro. This right here is writing. This right here is symbolism, bro. This right here is marvelous. I can't believe it. I really can't. And just the fact that I might have missed this whole point by simply reading the chapter like I would normally read any other book makes it even more amazing. Kim Doja probably doesn't see that number as grasshoppers. He probably sees that number as the life's future possibilities, stories, adventures, loves, sorrows, memories, relationships, and growth that he has taken from those 12 passengers. The full adult grasshopper, Kim Na-moon, being the one person Kim Doja has read, the one person in that cart filled with death that he has seen, already knowing what lives, future, possibilities, stories, adventures, loves, sorrows, memories, relationships, and growth that he would or has already had. This is so amazing, man, that I can't even begin to express my feelings on it. So let's just wrap everything up with a summary on Kim Doja in episode 1. Kim Doja wasn't just, nor was he wicked in his handling of the first scenario. He was both and none at the same time, contradictory, a hypocrite, and he doesn't deny that either. Kim Doja sees his actions and judges them as well, but not on a deeper level that he will do in the later parts of the story. For now, this is where he is currently in episode 1. Yeah, bro, all that was episode 1. We got like 8 more to go. So now we turn to page 2. Let's stop the movie right here and roll the credits. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and I hope you all enjoyed the video. Yeah. This one has been a long one in the making. Praise the Lord Jesus Christ that it's finally done and out.
Yes.
While this video is not all of part 1, it's the first volume in a series that I will try to faithfully release. But I have an announcement for you all. I will be reviewing all of ORV. It will be the same as this video, same structure and shit, but I'll be tackling everything, not only Kim Doja. But I would do that episodically, so each episode would be a video. I'm not lumping them all together into one big package like this one, or how I was originally planning on doing it. I was originally planning on doing all of part 1, like episodes 1 to 35, and then releasing that. I was psychotic. Like, I had to be smoking full fent, rolled with crack, sprinkled with weed. Because there's no fucking way I was thinking about doing that shit. But anyway, honestly, it's just more practical and I can release them more quicker than before. So you're not gonna have to wait a whole year or two to see a new video. And I'm not gonna feel like killing myself making a video every single time. Also, I just like talking about ORV, no cap. So the next ORV video would be the leftover remaining episodes I did for Kim Dokja. Because remember, I did from episodes 1 to 13 so far. No, I think 12. So I just have to release those 3 and then we're done. And then I'll start releasing analysis for all of ORV, but without Kim Dokja in them, since I already talked about him until chapter 12 or 13, I forgot. And now, finally, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So happy for 302 subscribers. I love you guys so much. I'm sorry I cannot scream and yell right now what I would love to do because I'm in my college dorm. And if I scream and yell, they're gonna call the RAs on me. But I will try to do better this year. I'm telling you, 2025 is our year. We're going to get better. We're gonna post more.
Stop the cap. Stop the cap right now. Stop the cap.
We're gonna post more, I promise. But I'm telling you, bro, next episode next week. Bro, anyway, that's it. Peace out.